Hi there, for this video I've decided to tackle possibly one of the most successful selling jazz albums of all time. If it's not the most successful, it's that one there, Miles Davis' Kind of Blue. I actually don't have a vinyl copy, well I do now, but I didn't until very recently have a vinyl copy of this album. Although it's an album I've had on a CD since it was one of the first CDs I ever bought, probably in the top, one of the first 5 I bought, certainly. It was in the same era. As a trumpeter, well, as a jazz listener, it's kind of essential listening, but I've not got a vinyl copy of it. So I've got one now, and I'll tell you all about the packaging in a minute. But yeah, it's kind of his seminal album, kind of cool jazz for the masses, 1959. Yeah. So I saw a TV advert about a week ago that said this new magazine called Jazz on 33 1/3. And it basically flashed a load of jazz albums in front of your face, saying all of these on 180 gram vinyl, blah 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 blah. And actually, this is the first issue, and it's, you can see there, $4.99. That's dead cheap. That's nothing. If it's a good pressing, I don't know yet. I haven't listened. I haven't even opened it yet. This is what I'm doing now. So I thought I'd go and track it down. So I went and bought it, and so here it is. So I'm gonna have a look. So well, let's get in. So first of all, so that's the album cover. We'll come to the album in a minute. We've got just this big cardboard thing, and then just lots of stuff about the album. I'm not sure if I'm going to subscribe because it's 15 quid a pop, and it's every 2 weeks. So it's 30 quid a month, and you get 2 albums a month. And I can't always guarantee they're albums I'm going to like or I haven't already got. I've got a fairly large selection of jazz in my racks already. Right, so I don't know. The second one is Blue Train. By John Coltrane, which again is an album I've got on CD, but I haven't got it on vinyl, so I might give that a whirl. So there's the album. I'll come back to that in a sec. Let's just have a look at all this pamphleteering nonsense that comes with it. So that's the magazine. It's, what is it? Oh, lots of leaflets. It's probably about 4 pages, 4 pieces of paper, double-sided, so 8 pages. And I would say there's a page about Miles Davis, or the musicians, Miles and the musicians, a page about the album, some essential discography from Miles Davis, if you haven't got any already. I've got some up there. I've got Sketches of Spain, Porgy and Bess, which are the Gil Evans arrangements, which I think just, for me, if you're going to start with Miles Davis, start with Sketches of Spain. It's just, this is a close second, I suppose. I think, yeah, that's for another time. So it's not a massive magazine. Like I say, 5 quid, absolute bargain, but 15 quid, I think I want a bit more. Subscription. Issue 3, Billie Holiday. You get a free t-shirt, which is lovely. There's an exclusive record deck thing, again, Dave Brubeck in the background. I've got that, so that's, yeah, one of the reasons. What is that? It's a project debut by the looks of it. I think 199 quid. It's probably a debut, so that's the one with the built-in preamp. It's okay. I've got a friend who's got a deck just like it. He says it's okay. It's kind of an entry-level audiophile deck. I'm sure everybody will have their opinion. So that's the magazine, and then this, what is this? More advertising. More, oh, there's a little bit about records in general, is that? Putting the soul back into jazz. What's this? Oh, cool. Okay, so there's a big picture of the Cotton Club, which is a Cotton Club. There you go. Cool. That's just a jazz club in New York, I think. So yeah. Okay, so here we go. There's a load of albums that you're going to get if you subscribe. So Miles, we've got this one. Billie Holiday, I think is 3. I've got that already. That one, I've got that one already. That's Blue Train, that's a good one. Is that Mingus Aram? I've not got that, I've got it on CD. I've got that one. I've got that one. They did loads of them. That's the first one. They did loads of those. I've got Getz and Gilberto. That's a fantastic album. You need to get hold of that if you haven't got it. Oscar Peterson meets Ben Webster. I've not got a vinyl copy of that. I got that on CD. Hence the reason I'm probably not going to subscribe, because I've got quite a lot of this stuff already. There's nothing there new for me to go at. But I would say if you like jazz, but you maybe have just started collecting records, or you've not heard a lot of this stuff before, then it's worth a go. That's until we, of course, have a listen to the record and it sounds absolutely rubbish. So there we go. Alright then. Cool. Okay, so that's it. So it's in stereo, originally on Columbia as well. I've got the musicians here: Cannonball Adderley, Paul Chambers, James Cobb, John Coltrane, Bill Evans, and Wynton Kelly, who's a piano player. I think he only played on one track, but they've spelt his name wrong. Just there, that should be a Y, not an I. Wynton. Yeah. Okay, in the back, that looks pretty much like the original pressing. Actually, it should have an old, like a flip back sleeve all the way around. It would be that white if you found one as well. But yeah, that's a picture of Miles Davis. So this recorded in 1959. It was rumoured to be recorded in 2 straight takes, but it's not, because I've got a deluxe CD upstairs which has got a second disc with all the alternative takes. I think Sketches of Spain was the only one, Flamenco Sketches, sorry, which is on the side 2. That's the only one they recorded in one go. And it'll be interesting to hear, actually, because until the early 90s, 1991, 92, 3, early 90s, they didn't realise that the entirety of side A, so the first 3 tracks, were actually mastered at the wrong speed. There were the actual vinyl you put on, or the tape, or the CD, everything, it was very slightly too fast. The old tape machine that they recorded onto in '59, so I imagine it was a 3-track or something, it ran very slightly, 1% too slow. It was just very slightly too slow, so when they recorded onto it, then when you played that back on a normal speed, it would just speed the music up just a fraction. You can't tell to the naked ear unless you know the album really well, or if you try and play along to it, like I did when I was about 12. Not all of it, no, just bits of it that I could figure out. But yeah, that drove me nuts. I thought I was just out of tune. So I'll be interested to hear if they've got the correct mastering. I think they've corrected it in the early 90s. I've got CDs upstairs. I've got a CD which is pre-92, which is the old one, and I've actually got on the remastered one with the extra CD. I've got the one. Anyway, let's have a look at the vinyl. So that's fine. Not massively thick cardboard. It is quite a heavy vinyl. I've said this a million times. I don't subscribe to heavy vinyl as better vinyl, but if it sounds nice, I don't really care how heavy it is. You know. Okay, so we've got what's called the Columbia 6-eye label. So if you look at that, you can see around the edges you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 little kind of eyes. That's the original Columbia label. A little bit brighter. Non-breakable. I'm sure I'd beg to differ on that one. Tell my 2-year-old. Yeah. Okay. So I mean that looks all well good. It is quite heavy, so you know that there's your money's worth of material, if nothing else. For a £5, that's nothing. It's really nothing. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to switch off. I'm going to stick it on. I'm going to let it spin. I'm going to have a listen to it. I'm going to start with side A because I know see if that's mastered at the right speed and see what it sounds like, because this is notoriously an album which, if reproduced well, sounds fantastic. So let's give it a go and see what it sounds like. Okay, so I'm just kind of flipped the record. I'm about halfway through All Blues at the minute, and All Blues being the first track of side B, and the pressing's really nice. It is really quiet, and it's very stable. The bass sounds really fruity. It's Cannonball soloing in a minute. Yeah, I'm really impressed actually. For a £5, very impressed. To the extent that actually I'm a little bit tempted to subscribe just because it sounds so, yeah, really lovely. So what about the album then? What do you need to know? Like I say, 1959. It's cool blues. Sorry, cool jazz, which was kind of out of the end of bebop, which happened in the 50s, which is really crazy, really fast. So you're thinking people like Charlie Parker and Dizzy Gillespie just playing a million notes per minute. This is it's a little bit more chilled, very much more chilled. You have people like that. Chet Baker started doing it. Jerry Mulligan. So it's kind of talking West Coast jazz. I've got a couple of Shorty Rogers albums, which are just cool jazz. And Miles Davis was a very boppy player, very boppy, and he. Oh, nice. He was very boppy, and then he just kind of slowed right down. I'm not the biggest Miles Davis fan in the world. I'm a trumpeter, but there's there's other trumpeters that I just adore over, and you know, people like Clifford Brown and Booker Little and stuff like that. But you can't deny his contribution to the development and the pushing forward of music. At the time, this is a massive change. This is a different direction altogether. And he always was on the forefront of that. So he went through, you know, a number of really nice quintets just after this. It included people like Herbie Hancock, Chick Corea later on, and such. And he would then he moved on into the kind of fusiony kind of stuff in the 70s. So yeah, I mean, for a £5, if you can still see it. I mean, I found this 3 or 4 days ago in the shop. So they're probably on a few shelves, a few here and there. You know, try whatever. But for a £5, you can't fault it really. Dead happy with that. And the next one, John Coltrane, which is Blue Train, is only a tenner, and then it's 15 quid. So I'm probably going to get the John Coltrane one if I can find it. For a tenner, for a £5, that's amazing. For a tenner, I'd still be quite happy with it. So I'm going to let this play out, and yeah, subscribe, comment, whatever. It's all good. Thanks. Bye now.